Hey, and welcome to the session today, which is a Q&A with Trent McLaren of Practice Ignition. Hi, Trent. How you doing?
Well, thank you, Matt. How are you?
I'm good. So Trent was got stuck on a train, has had to dive off, and he's coming to you live from a laneway in Sydney.
Laneway in Hurstville. If you're in Hurstville, come and say hey. But I tried to find a quiet cafe, and then the barista was banging on the bench, and then there's buses everywhere, and then I had one lady that just kind of kept following me around, going, "What are you doing with your laptop in the middle of the street?" I'm like, "Leave me alone. I'm just trying to do a live interview with my friend Matt."
So the sacrifices Trent has made to be here today to answer your sales questions.
I'm stuck in
Um,
Hurstville.
Good stuff. Right. So, do you want to just give us a quick background to yourself and Practice Ignition, and then we'll get into the Q&A?
Yeah, sounds good. So, yeah, Trent McLaren. I'm head of accounting and strategic partnerships at Practice Ignition. Most of you probably know me from my days with Intuit QuickBooks Online, and some of you would even know me from my days at eWay, the online payments provider, who were the first payments provider to integrate to Xero. So I've been around in this space for about 5 or 6 years now, working with accountants and bookkeepers specifically. And I love it. It's a lot of fun. It's very cool. A lot going on and lots to keep abreast of. And yeah, I just really enjoy being able to help contribute and help other people on their journey to learning all about the cloud and everything that it can offer and how it's transforming our business models. So yeah.
Fantastic. So, you can see on the screen there underneath the webcams, special offer for everyone who's come to the webinar today. We've got 50% off, or Practice Ignition have off their setup and training packages. Just want to tell people quickly about those, Trent?
Yeah, definitely. Anyone that's new with Practice Ignition or it becomes a new customer basically is open to take up this offer. And basically what we want to try and enable you to do is get started on the right foot. So we're talking about one-to-one personal training and setup. We'll actually help you set up your engagement letters, your list of service, and help you train you and your team if required as well. That normally starts at $2,000, so we're doing that at half price for anyone that jumps on board with us on the back of this webinar, or if this is your first look at Practice Ignition, then again, that offer is totally available to you. But yeah, that's all in conjunction with the month of marketing, and yeah, we're just so happy that you could join us today, and we're looking forward to helping you out.
Awesome. Sounds good. So, if you want to ask a question of Trent, use the questions window and I will quiz him on your behalf. So please send those in. We actually asked for some questions beforehand, so I've got a few to get things kicked off, but please start sending your questions in. So yeah, the first question I had for you, Trent, was got a question from Anthony, which is does a sales meeting or proposal have to be face-to-face?
No, I think today, in this day and age, everything can be digital, it can be face-to-face, it can be a virtual meeting, a conference. It's whatever's going to get the job done and what are your clients most feel comfortable with. If you had to do everything face-to-face, then you're losing some really good efficiency side of things. I know some people that will send a digital proposal, pick up the phone, and then call their client and talk them through the proposal over the phone. So you're not having to detail it with them face-to-face. You can actually just do it over the phone using your digital proposal as the method for communication. So whatever's going to allow you to get the job done, win the deal, close the client, that's great. Some people prefer face-to-face because they want to get to know the person they're buying from, and people do buy from people. So
Yeah.
the more you can communicate that yourself, because you are the business at the end of the day. If you're the bookkeeper or the accountant listening to this, you are the business. You are what they're buying, essentially, because most bookkeepers, accountants are all doing the same sort of things, same sort of guarantees. We're all about peace of mind and giving you back time in your life and all that kind of stuff. Everyone's talking about the same thing. So the real difference maker here is you. You are the difference maker. So you need to be able to, win and sell the dream to your clients.
Okay, cool. Kind of following on that theme of meetings, Do you think in that first sales meeting that you have with a prospect, you should show them pricing or packages actually in that meeting?
Not straight away. I think I've actually, it's been funny, I've been doing a solution selling workshop this week, and the first thing you kind of talk about is you're not going to stand there and go, hey, have I got a solution for you straight out of the box, like on the first point of question. You actually need to spend enough time understanding what are the requirements for the client, what are their requirements, what do they need, before you can start going into, well, this is what we can do. You need to understand all the pain points of their business first, because as you understand all the pain points, you then start to realize that what you provide as a service is the solution, and you start figuring out how do we map our solution to sound like it is the solve. Like that's how we're going to fix all the problems that you've got. So I wouldn't start with your price. I would start with go on a discovery, find out who they are, what they need, what they do, so you can start to figure out how can you best add value to that business. Or maybe you can't, and that's the point. You need to understand if it's a good fit for you first. Once you've figured that out, you can start to talk through the types of things you've done with other people. So talk about a success story. So say, look, we've actually helped clients just like you. We helped them reduce their debtor days from 60 down to 15 days. We changed their payment processes. We streamlined all of their organisational structures. We helped them train their staff. These are similar things that we can actually help with you. Do you mind if I run you through some of the things that we do as a business to help with that? And ask them that question first, because if you get them to that point, and they said, oh, that's really great, I want to know how you help that other business. You don't even have to name names, because at the end of the day, it's privacy. Your clients have got your trust and privacy with them. But yeah, start with a success story and then jump to, well, can I help you? Can I show you a bit about what we do and what that looks like? And that's when you can dive into your packages, services, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. So just a question from me then, wrapped up in that, you said if it's not a fit, you think walk away, say no?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sometimes it's actually easier to grow by being able to say no more, because you pick up the clients that you want to pick up and that you want to specialise in. Some people will do they'll market narrowly, but they'll accept it broadly. So they might specialise in a niche, but if you're in an early stage or in a small stage where you want to grow, you'll accept on most people that you'll meet with. But the whole idea of being able to focus on a niche is that you can actually articulate things to, let's say, a building client. If you've got multiple building clients, you'll see all the similarities, and you actually know some of the ratios and things that they should be using and KPIs they should be using to measure their business. And if you can start to articulate to that small building client what those KPIs and ratios should be, you actually start to demonstrate your value and the fact that you do know so much about that industry, which is exactly what they need. So, yeah. Does that make sense?
How would you handle those people you're saying no to? Do you just go, we're not a good fit, or do you pass them to like a friendly firm who might be a better fit for? Do you think there's a
I would try and, if you've got, it's a great opportunity for you to help build someone else's business. So everyone knows other bookkeepers and accountants are a very cliquey, friendly industry. So, get a couple of people that you think, you know what, I'm not a good fit for you for X, Y, and Z reason. But I would highly recommend that you chat with my, colleague I know down the road. They're fantastic. Let me give you their number, and I'll, make that introduction for them, make it easy. But be really clear as to why they're not a good fit for you. Make sure you pass that feedback along. I'm sure it probably won't happen too often for you, but it's really important that you do communicate effectively just around why you don't think they're a good fit for you, and that they should be passed on to someone else.
Yeah, got it. So okay, you've sent your proposal. I've got a question here saying, how do I deal with objections?
Practice. It's you only get good at it the more you do it. For me, objections, I was pretty lucky because I'm 28 now. I've been selling and working in some sort of sales environment for probably close to 10 years now. And a lot of it just comes through the more you do it, the better you get at it. And we learned how to do objection handling when I was working in retail. It was like, oh, what happens if they don't like it, or if it's too big, or if it's whatever. And you learn at a really basic level how to just tackle through different people's objections. And you start to figure out, is it really an objection, or is there a fear behind that they're unsure about? Most objections generally come from a lack of understanding or a lack of communication, or something that we haven't articulated accurately or properly. So as you start to go through that objection, it's like, oh, well, do you want to just tell me a bit more about that? Like, why is that a concern to you? Why is that an issue for you? And then you actually dive deeper into the pain or the fear or whatever it is. Because most objections are like, oh, I'm not really into that. And a lot of the reasons why is because they've either been burned by it before, it hasn't worked before, or they know nothing about it. So it's like, oh, that doesn't sound like me. It's like, well, it's because they don't know exactly what you're selling. They don't know exactly what you're trying to give them. And that's the only reason you would get a no. It's the only reason you get people challenging how much your bill will be, is because they don't understand what you've done for them. They don't understand the value of what you've delivered. So if someone's ever saying, oh, look, why is my bill so high? They don't know who you are and what you've done. They don't understand your value to their business.
I don't know if you're like me, but I actually like it when clients have objections, because that gives you the chance to demonstrate what you do, and then if you answer those objections, normally that sales in the bag. Whereas the leads or the kind of sales meetings that always scare me is the ones who are completely enthusiastic the whole way through, because they tend to not have listened to, that they're sold kind of on a dream rather than the reality of what you do, and I'm always wary of those more than people who can be seemingly quite negative, but they're actually giving you an opportunity to go, okay, we've answered all that stuff, then why wouldn't you go with us? So I actually like them.
Yeah, I agree, and I think to your point, if you nail the objections, like if you handle it like a king, like you smash it, you're actually really likely to win that business, because you've actually been able to answer the question your clients had in the first place. If your clients don't have any questions, they're either not listening to what you said at all, because there's no way that people are going to. You're not going to click with someone the first time you meet someone, right? You're going to have some people that you get on with the first time you meet, but they're not going to know what you know, and you're not going to know what they know. So they need to be asking questions. It's like when you go to an interview. If you're not asking questions in an interview, you're doing something wrong. You need to. There's a lot of things you will want to know before you embark on something. So by all means, like, questions and objections are a good thing. Just practice it. Practice it with team members, with family members. Think about the worst thing someone could ask you. It's like, oh, I would hate someone to ask me that. Practice that, because if you get really good at practicing the question that you don't want to be asked, then it won't matter, because as soon as they do, like, what else could stop you if you can answer the thing you don't want them to ask you?
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think you're lucky you started sales pretty early in your career. I was more a marketer and then got into sales, after I was 30, and so I haven't been doing it for too long. The thing you got to get, you actually realize that, like you said, there's some people you'll get on with, that's fine. There's plenty of people you won't. That's not bad. You just have to be comfortable with not being that comfortable. And people asking you questions, they're not. It's nothing personal. They just, you just got to get used to that. Like you say, imagine the worst thing, and then it's actually not that bad, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, the better you get at communicating, it impacts every area of your business. Like for the rest of your life, the one thing I know that you will have to do is talk to people. Personal life, business life, communicating. Sales is all about communication, whether that's with your words, whether that's with your digital proposals, whatever it may be. That's still all about communicating. If you can effectively communicate in any way, shape, or form, and your client's satisfied, well done. So you just need to figure out what's the best way that you communicate with new prospective clients and what allows them to want to pay your bill.
Okay, cool. Jumping in a completely different direction, I've got a question from Joe, which is, what sales apps do you use, or I guess maybe recommend?
Sales apps in terms of being able to, like CRM type stuff to manage?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like we use a couple of things. So we have a CRM. We use Zoho for our CRM, which is okay. I mean, I think CRMs are they all do something really well and something really badly. And you just got to kind of pick one then. So that kind of. Are there any other, I guess, like little productivity apps that you use to help you communicate and so on?
It's funny, I actually find, like, for sales-based apps for accountants and bookkeepers specifically, it's funny, I've actually seen some people use Practice Ignition as a sales CRM because of the way the stages are broken down, once you've sent out your proposals and all that sort of stuff. I know Growthwise in Newcastle, they use PI for that specifically. Because the big thing you want to be able to do is you want to know, when did I send my proposal, have they viewed it, and you want to know what stage they're up to, like who have I sent one to that I'm waiting to hear back from, who's got a proposal in draft that I haven't sent anything to yet. So yeah, I've seen some people use PI really well for that standpoint. Other people use things like potentially a Zoho or an Insightly. I know you and I have talked about Pipedrive and Close in the past. I think that's a bit more for more of a, like if you're very sales focused and you hire sales people in your business, then they might use something a bit more sophisticated. But I think for the accountant and bookkeeper, like everyday side of it, yeah, I'd encourage you to check out Practice Ignition just for that CRM standpoint. A lot of people love it just from that, because they can see everything that's going on and they've got things they can communicate with the client about, and actually plug messages to and from the client in the platform as well. So there's a couple of really handy things there that can really help with that.
I think getting your sales organized is so important, right? Is that you know, being organized is probably 90% of the battle. You know, just following people up. You don't have to be clever about that. You don't have to have a sales type personality. You know, you just answer the questions and do it when you said you would. Yeah,
so sales is a process, and you just saying you'll do what you're going to do. I know we've talked about this in the past, but for me, every time I chat to someone, I say, hey, you know, here's my proposal. I hope you're happy with it. Have you got any questions? No, you don't. Okay, cool. Look, I'm going to give you a call at the end of the week on Friday. I don't know if it's a better time for you or not, but I just want to catch up and see, you know, whether we can progress from here. Yeah. A lot of people leave things really open-ended. It's like, okay, here's the proposal. Thanks. And it's like, you know, it's really awkward. And they're trying to wait for the other person. Like, oh, yeah, cool, great. Well, we'll just get right ahead. But some people don't do that. And you need to actually be the instigator to progress that transaction to actually happen. So I've sent the proposal. I'm going to call you on Friday. I'm telling you I'm calling you on Friday. We're going to talk about the proposal and whether you want to go forward or not. The worst thing you can do is hold on to sales opportunities that don't go through. So you might talk about the fact that you might close, like your sales cycle might be 60 days. And then the other side of this, but you might hold on to opportunities for up to 120 days, right? So there's nearly 60 days extra worth of time there that you're wasting holding on to people that have never gotten back to you or that you keep chasing or whatever it may be. So it's really important that you close things off and let things go if they don't progress. Make sure you give it the effort to say, hey, you know, are you keen to go ahead? If you are, we can get started today, but I need you to sign my agreement. You know, I need you to sign the proposal. I need you to put your billing details here up front so that we can manage our debtors internally first. That's the way we operate as a business. So you've got to have process and procedure. And as I said, sales is all about process. Have a time, have a schedule, tell them when you're going to call them, send them an email. And like for me, I don't normally give up until they say, no, I'm not interested. And that's all I need. As soon as someone says, Trent, I'm not interested in what you're selling, I'm like, fantastic. Thanks for your time. If you've got any questions, I'm here. Chat to me next time. But if they've never told you they're not interested, you cannot go on the benefit of the doubt. They're like, oh, well, they're not talking to me, so they must not be interested. No, we're all so busy. Like the amount of people that have all been at XeroCon last week that have come back extremely sick, imagine how much busier they're now going to be for the next week or 2 weeks. And then if they're trying to hear from all these other app partners, and half of them will give up. This is what I know. Half of these app partners will give up because they didn't hear from them, even though most of those people were probably interested. They just didn't have the time and they were too busy at the time to be able to take the call. That's all.
Yeah, for sure. I remember reading somewhere that said, like, there's no problem failing, but if you're going to do it in sales, fail fast. Don't drag it out. And so I think that's really important. And I think the other thing that you're saying there is, like, I always say to our team is that, you know, people buy when they want to, not when you want to. You know, you think, oh, I've got my sales targets and you want them to buy, but, you know, you don't know what's going on in their lives, their businesses. And, but, you know, what we do is mark things as inactive, but you can still talk to those people in 6 months, in a year, and the circumstances might have changed and, you know, they're ready to go. So they're not dead, but, you know, they're dead for your kind of, you know, what you're going to be doing in that month, right?
It's dead in comparison to you actually trying to call and speak to someone. So, like, you might stop calling them, but you might put them into an email marketing flow where they automatically get email updates or email campaigns from you. You haven't had to do anything. That's the automation side of it, and that's where it can be really cool, really powerful to have an email marketing system where you can just put them into the nurture bucket, if you want to call it anything, because they might be ready in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. I've seen some people come back 12 months later just because they were on our email flow, and they eventually, all right, now I'm ready. I'm still engaged. I've seen all your stuff. I wasn't ready then, but I'm ready now. And that's the thing. People are just, it's a waiting for them to be ready to progress with you.
I closed a deal last month that was open for 36 months.
Wow, well done. That's huge.
I actually told the guy early on that I'm pretty persistent, and then he said, like, and I appreciated that, and yeah, we did the deal, and off we go. So yeah, he was still interested the whole time, but just not ready. So it persistence.
You never know where it's going to come from, right? Like it never happens straight away. It just sometimes it just takes time.
That's right. That's right.
Well done.
Keep your questions coming in. I've got one here. You mentioned calling, so someone asked, do you think cold calling local businesses still works?
I prefer the warm intro. I'm not going to lie. Like, I mean, I'm happy to cold call if I need to, but I don't need to these days. I'd rather do a warm intro. I'd rather just have, if I know someone that knows someone, or I might call that person and say, hey, actually, I've done a lot of work with Matt. I know you and Matt have done a bit of work together as well. Anyway, we were talking about your business the other day, and he said it'd be worth giving you a call just to talk about what we do. And again, come back to that success story. This is what we've done and helped other businesses like yours. But it just depends on how much time you want to do that, because cold calling doesn't necessarily work straight away. Cold calling takes time. You have to actually build up a pipeline, and you then start to build rapport, relationship. If you're going to have a dedicated sales team, definitely. I'd much recommend go and do networking instead and build relationships and meet people that way, because networking people for the first time, that kind of is like cold calling, except in a much friendlier environment. So if you're going to do something that's a little bit more comfortable and actually help you work on your skills, go and do a whole bunch of networking. Go to all the different business events, and it doesn't matter if you don't meet people the first time. The whole point of networking is you keep going, and you'll meet people over a couple of months, and as you do that, build rapport, build relationships. They know people, you know people, and you all start to help each other out. So I'd for a bookkeeper and accountant, networking over cold calling, unless you're going to hire a salesperson in your business to potentially do some cold calling, but even then, you'd be trying to, for bookkeepers, they'd want to be trying to network with accountants, and for accountants, vice versa, same thing. You're going to get your best leads from one another, really.
So actually that ties into another question we had through, which was, do you think it is worth accountants and bookkeepers hiring an external salesperson?
It depends on what stage of business you're at. I think it is definitely viable if you're a big bookkeeping firm, big accounting firm. Definitely a resource worth having. Reason being is that if you've got someone totally focused on sales, that's it, then you will see an increase or a lift in that activity somewhere. Realistically, you want to have, if that person is in sales, then they should be chatting with at least 3 to 5 new prospective people every day. That would be the goal. You only need to land 1 or 2 a week, really. If you're once you get really good at it, that's obviously the goal. That'll keep growing and scaling the business that way. But yeah, depending on what stage you're at, most definitely. I know I think it's Consolidate up in Queensland, Brisbane maybe. They have a BDM and they use personas really well. So they've got 4 personas really well for their types of clients, what to talk to those clients about, and what resonates well with them. Like that kind of stuff's really powerful, because you know exactly what type of client they'll be, where they fit, and what type of things you can help them with.
Yeah, I mean, I think that isn't going to be the solution for a lot of firms who are listening today. So for them, another question will come in: where would you go about trying to learn the skill of selling? I know you said practice. Do you think there's any other formal things people can do, websites they can go to, any resources?
Yeah, I do a lot of reading. I use an app on my phone called Blinkist, Blinkist. It's amazing because it summarizes all these amazing sales books into 15-minute audio books. The reason I enjoy 15-minute audiobooks is because I haven't got enough time in a day to read hectic 300, 400-page books all the time. I'd rather just give me the snippets and the overview and let me then apply it to my day. But saying that, like I said, I've done this for 10 years, so it's easy for me to be able to apply things and just read about them really briefly. But I like Blinkist because there's heaps of sales books, marketing books. You could look at things like Lynda. I think it's lynda.com, LinkedIn's platform. Some really cool stuff on there. Otherwise, go to YouTube. How do I sell? How should I sell my services? You will find a plethora of videos on how to sell. Like, YouTube's amazing, man. Like, I spend so much time going, how do I change a tire? How do I tie a knot? Like, whatever it is, it's there. There's a video, it's detailed, and it's really good. So I would go to YouTube. Otherwise, check out Blinkist. Check out lynda.com. There's some really cool stuff there. Udemy, is it? U-D-E-M-Y?
Yeah,
Udemy.com.
Yep.
Some cool sales stuff on there as well.
We'll include some links in the follow-up email, and we'll obviously include information about this offer that's on screen as well. I think there's a few books that stand out for me. One of the greatest books, it's not just on selling, but How to Win Friends and Influence People. Have you ever read that?
Oh, I certainly have.
Think that's an amazing book. Any other ones that you'd put right up there in the top of the list?
From a sales perspective, now I'm scratching my brain. Oh yeah, there was one I was reading this week. There was one about solution selling that I was reading this week that's really cool. I think it actually is just called solution selling. The other one was the Challenger Sale. That's a really good one. I like the Challenger Sale because, again, it's all about, how do you be, if you're a smaller firm or you're a newer firm, how do you challenge kind of the incumbents, or how do you convince people that they should go with you if you are a newer kind of business and group? So, yeah, I really like the Challenger Sale and the solution selling books. They're great.
Cool. There's a good one called No More Cold Calling by Joanne Black, which is about referral selling. That's a really good one. The other one that I've really liked in the last sort of 5 years is one called Predictable Revenue by Aaron Ross, who was the I can't remember his exact title, but basically head of sales for Salesforce as they grew their business, and that's a sort of warm cold calling, if that makes sense. He calls it Cold Calling 2.0.
Yeah, sure.
That's a very good book as well.
That was the one I'm talking about there, the New Solution Selling by Keith M. Eads. That's a really good book. I'd recommend checking that out for sure.
Yeah, cool.
And that's exactly what I think, when you look at solution selling for accountants and bookkeepers, that's really what bookkeepers and accountants should be doing. You're trying to sell solutions. You're not trying, you're selling, obviously, your services, but you're trying to help provide solutions to small business owners. So I think when you look at methodologies of sales, solution selling is probably really key for nearly every accountant and bookkeeper.
For sure. Time for a couple more questions. This is a pretty good one, I think, from Nathan, which is what questions should you ask when you first meet a prospective client? Or can you narrow it down to just a few questions?
Yeah, I always go with the just open questions. Any open question that allows you to talk to them about their business. Tell me about your business. Like, how big are you? How many staff do you have? What are you trying to achieve in your business? What's the vision for the business? What are the things that, what are the pains in the business? What keeps you up at night? All that kind of stuff's great because it gives you a really good idea on how you're going to help them. You'll be able to start to see what some of the gaps might be. Obviously, there's all the practical questions. Do you use any software? What type of software? How do you what's got you to this point? All those types of questions are going to be great, but again, it's all going to be open and based around them and the business. So anything that's like when I was in retail, it was who, what, when, where, how, and why. So it was the 5 W's and the H, I think it was. Who, what, when, where, how, and why. If every question starts with one of those words, then you'll get an open question. It doesn't actually matter what the question is, as long as you start it with one of those words, because that'll allow you to ask more questions to the client. Client does all the talking. You do all the listening. Take notes of everything they're saying, and then once you've got a really good picture of their business, where they're at, how you can help, Give them the example, as I said. That's really key. Give them the case study first. Tell them exactly how you've helped someone else, and give them tangible results. We helped someone and they achieved X. People want to know that. It's all about the money side of it. How much money did you save them? How much money did you help them make? If you can articulate how much money you've helped them make or save, it's exactly what they're interested in from you. That's what they really, really, really want to know. So if you can articulate that, by the time you then go, would you be happy for me to run through how we could do this for you? Yes, yes, I'd love to know all about that. How could you do that for me? You'll be on the way to winning more clients than not, I guarantee it.
Very cool. We've got one very quick question. What was the author of Solution Selling again? Is it M. Eads? What was the first name, sorry?
Keith.
That was it.
Yeah, Keith Eads.
Yeah,
all right. The camera's back to front, so you might not be able
to... we'll put that in the...
in the links.
Put that in the follow-up. So one final question, and then any other ones we can maybe deal with by email or something like that, which was, what's the best way to set sales targets? What's a, should it be, I guess so I would be saying there, is it dollars, is it numbers a meeting? How would you set those kind of targets?
I'd start with revenue, obviously, first. So you need to look at what are your expenses? Like, how much do you need to make to hit profitability week on week? That's my first target. And then from that, you could break that down into meetings and say, okay, well, I know that I need to make 30 grand a month, or 10 grand a month, and recurring work as well. We want 10 grand recurring every month. That would be fantastic, wouldn't it? So if we need to do that, then I might need to do 20 meetings, because I know that it takes me 2 or 3 meetings. I only need 2 or 3 meetings to be good to be able to get there. Yeah. So, and you just kind of reverse engineer it. So once you've figured out how much money you need to earn, turn that into, well, how many meetings do we need to have? And then say, okay, well, how many calls do we need to make to get that amount of meetings? And then you start setting your targets around that. So you might be, 30 meetings a month, which means I need to make 60 phone calls a month. If I make 60 phone calls, I get 30 meetings, I'll get 4 good meetings, which means I'll make 10 grand in recurring revenue every month. Yeah.
That's exactly how we do it. You need to break it back to actions. That the revenue is where you start, but you can't sort of you can't make that revenue just drop in your bank. The way you do that is you go, okay, how many meetings do we need? So you need to know your conversion rate. So if you need 10 sales, and your conversion rate is 50%, you got to do 20 meetings. And then you need to know, like you said, how many calls do you need to do? 100 calls to get 20 meetings, or you do your 100 calls. So then you can actually give it to somebody and go, right, do those things, and then we'll get the 30 grand in the bank, or whatever it is.
And the really cool thing, and again, this is something we actually tackle inside Practice Ignition. Like, so when you send out all your proposals, we'll actually tell you what your conversion rates are, what your average client sale is, what your average team revenue is. So when you're starting to try to figure out, well, I don't know what all those those metrics are, that's something Practice Ignition is really, really good at, and that's why it's really great as a sales tool, because I know, okay, well, my conversion is 60%. 6 out of 10 people will buy from us, right? So that means that the more people we get in front of, the more, again, that number will just naturally go up based on those figures. So, yeah, that's kind of another really cool thing about what we've tried to do inside PI, is that we want to try and give you the tools so you can, like, where do we stand right now? Where are all of our sales? Have they looked at our proposals? We talk about trying to close and win clients. PI is a really awesome tool for that. So, yeah, I'd be more than happy to help anyone run through how to set that up as well.
Very cool. Well, that's a good place to wrap up, as you demonstrated a few of your sales skills there at the end and segued into your little pitch. Very good. I like
that. I'm cheeky like that.
Well, we'll send out that email, and you can take Trent up on that offer to find out a bit more about PI and that 50% off the setup and training. And that's been really popular, because that means it's super easy to just get started and running with PI. So just to wrap things up, month of marketing. If you want a bit more marketing support, we've got a Facebook group there, BizInc Ascend. We'll send you out a link there, and that's marketing support for accountants and bookkeepers. If you go to monthofmarketing.com, you can win a website, a year of blogs, and some coaching from Revolutionary Firm. So monthofmarketing.com/prices. Final thing I'll tell you about, we've got another 2 sessions this week actually, but tomorrow's session, join Steve and Mel from the Revolutionary Firm. They're going to be talking about the value conversation. So actually links in well to what we've just been talking about then, is how to demonstrate value in a sales meeting or in a sales conversation. So well worth checking that out. And then we've got another Q&A session with David Costello of Jetpack Workflow, which is about efficient marketing and efficient marketing for accountants and bookkeepers. So that's on Friday or Thursday if you're in the States or UK.
Dave's a legend.
So,
I like Dave.
He's a good guy, isn't he? Yeah, he's got some really switched on ideas, and yeah, one of the smartest minds for sure. So both really good sessions. So yeah, thanks very much, Trent, for joining us today. That's been fantastic, and we've got a couple more questions. Do you mind me firing those through to you, and we can maybe send them back by email?
Of course, yeah. Hey, thanks for having me on the show, guys, and it's been awesome. I hope you guys have enjoyed your month of marketing. If anyone wants to hit me up on social media, you can get me on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. Just search Trent McLaren, and you'll likely find it pretty quickly, I'd say.
Got on. All right, thanks, Trent. We'll leave you to it. Thanks for that, and yeah, thanks to you all for coming along. Have a good day.
No worries, guys. Signing off from Hurstville Laneway.
Cheers, Trent. See you later.
Thanks, guys. See ya.